Welcome back to the channel, Toyota Fanatic 81. I'm going to take you through an easy to follow, step-by-step guide on how to change the oil on your Tundra. And this is specifically for second generation Tundras, so that's 2007 to 2021. First thing to do is head to your nearest automotive retailer. For us, Canadian Tires like a combination of AutoZone and Ace Hardware. Everyone has their favorite oil that they swear by. The main thing is that you're getting synthetic oil with a viscosity of 0W20. The supply list is pretty simple. 8 quarts or 7.5 liters of 0W20, a synthetic oil filter, some shop wipes, and a can of brake clean. The list of tools you need is a little bit longer, so I'm not going to rattle everything off. You can pause the video to take a closer look at the list. I normally lay down plastic or cardboard in order to catch any leaks or spills. This makes cleaning up afterward a lot easier. Make sure to run your truck for 3 to 4 minutes. This will warm the oil up and make it easier to flow and drain. My truck is lifted, so I probably can get away without jacking up the front end, but I like a lot of room to work, so I'm gonna get the truck up on the jack stands. My skid plate may look a little different from yours. It came as a part of my rough country 6-inch lift. Now, it doesn't matter if you have a stock skid plate or an aftermarket one like mine, it's gotta come off anyway. With the skid plate out of the way, you'll have access to the drain plug and the oil reservoir. Before you touch the drain plug, you gotta remove the oil cap. This will get rid of the vacuum that's normally created in the lubrication system. The drop bracket on my 6-inch lifts makes it a little bit harder to access that drain plug, but not impossible. If you still have a stock truck, getting to that drain plug is a lot easier. Use a 9/16 socket. You can put this at the end of an impact wrench or a socket wrench and loosen the drain plug. Now just loosen it, don't thread it out the whole way. Once the plug is loose, you can use your hand to take it out the rest of the way. And you're definitely gonna get oil on yourself. There's no way around that. While the oil is draining, you can take some time and clean the drain plug. I recommend using a new crush washer each time you do an oil change, but if you don't have a new one right now, go ahead and apply the old one. You can get away with using the same crush washer for a few oil changes. Once the oil has drained, you can put the plug back in and torque it to 20 foot-pounds. Next, you'll need a breaker bar with an extension. Slide the drain pan underneath the oil filter housing, then use the breaker bar along with the extension to crack loose the plug on the housing. You can use your fingers to thread the plug out the rest of the way. When you unbox the filter, you'll notice that it comes with some accessories, one of which is a plastic oil spigot. This spigot allows you to drain the oil from the filter housing before actually taking the filter housing out. You'll like this because it'll save you a big mess. Once the filter housing has been drained of oil, the spigot comes out and the filter adapter goes on. Use an extension at the end of a breaker bar to loosen the filter housing. Then, attach the extension to a normal socket wrench and take the filter housing the rest of the way out. Obviously, you're going to take the old filter out of the housing. You're going to remove the old O-rings as well. Now I like to use spray clean for just about anything, including this filter housing. Make sure to thoroughly clean this housing both inside and out. Before you put the new O-rings on the filter housing, take a few seconds to lubricate them. I know a lot of people think this is optional, but it's actually quite important. Slip the small O-ring into the groove at the base of the filter housing. Then you can thread the housing plug back in. Use a small extension at the end of a socket wrench to tighten the plug. Lubricating the O-rings prevents abrasion, pinching, cutting, or cracking. and this will ensure that the plug and the housing are sealed properly. When you get the new filter into the housing, you should feel and hear it click into place. You know, at this point, most people would just take the new filter in the housing and throw it back up into the truck. But I think it's a good rule of thumb to pour half a quart of oil into the housing. That way you know there's no part of the lubrication system that's devoid of oil. Thread the filter housing in by hand first. Then use the adapter and a torque wrench to torque it to 20 foot-pounds. Finally, we can get some new oil into the truck. And unless you're an absolute master at pouring, you're going to use a funnel for this. Finish off the rest of that half quart, and then just keep filling until you get to 8 quarts in total. If you're like me, you'll have more than enough oil for the job because I always have some left over. And of course, the oil cap goes back on to close the system. If you jack your truck up like I did, it'll be a lot easier to test the level of the oil when the truck is back down on the ground. You can move the oil around a bit by starting the engine and holding it at 2000 RPM for about 5 seconds. Use the dipstick to check the level of the oil. I know it's hard to tell from this video, but the oil is sitting in between the low marker and the high marker of the dipstick, and that's just where we want it. I know I'm going to sound like somebody's uncle when I say this, but please dispose of the old filter and oil properly. Don't just throw them in your trash bin. The last thing to do is get the skid plate back on the truck. And don't forget to move the wheel chocks. I'd be lying if I said I've never forgotten to do that. And that is it. You are done. Congratulations, you just changed your own oil on your 2007 to 2021 Tundra. Now, if you're doing this for the first time, don't be surprised if it takes longer than you think it should. Any job you do on your truck for the first time will probably move slower, especially if you're trying to do it properly. Don't worry, this job gets quicker and quicker each time you do it. In terms of oil changes, practice really does make perfect. From gathering together all the tools, changing the oil, and then putting the tools back and cleaning up, this job usually takes me about an hour these days. And I know that's twice as long as the normal lube stop. But I also know the pimple-faced kid in the pit below will not care about my Tundra the same way I do. I'm happy to do this job on my own. Thank you for watching the video. I genuinely hope this was helpful for you. If you're one of the people on my channel all the time, you know I appreciate you. And if you're new here, welcome, stick around, watch a few more videos. You may as well subscribe because I have a ton of do-it-yourself and modification videos for you to dive into. If you own a second generation Tundra and you're looking to customize it and make it your own, you're in the right spot. That's it. I am done. I will catch you on the next video.